Prospect 1.
The New York Mets.
All right, the New York Mets top 10 fantasy prospects for Prospect 1. Number 1 comes in as the shortstop, Andres Jimenez. Number 2, Mark Vientos. He was the draft pick that they just had this year. Shortstop, probably going to move to third base. That's my prediction. Number 3, another pick from this year, David Peterson, starting pitcher. Number 4, first baseman Peter Alonso. Number 5, starting pitcher Justin Dunn. Number 6, another pitcher, Thomas Sapucki. Number 7, Chris Flexen, more pitching. Number 8, Gavin Gaccini, shortstop, third base, super utility, call him that. Number 9, catcher Tomas Nido. And number 10, starting pitcher Jordan Humphreys. That be your New York Mets top 10.
So the difference between the Marlins and the Mets is Andres Jimenez, because the top 10 for the Mets goes way deeper on the list than the Marlins, but the Marlins don't have anyone inside the top 100, and Andres Jimenez is.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it. Andres Jimenez, I wouldn't even just stop at Andres Jimenez. Vientos, the top 3 are what put these guys where they needed to be. Like, that's what I would say. The top 3, Jimenez has a lot of upside. Vientos, there's so much more we have to see with him. He's super young. The dude just barely turned 18 years old. David Peterson, though, a pretty polished college pitcher that came in. Those guys, they hold it together. But then the Mets also had some injuries. Thomas Sapucki had Tommy John. Justin Dunn was their top pick in 2016, I believe. And he just had a really downish year. So a couple things swing their way. The guys they just recently picked go good. The Mets could jump up the system a little bit.
Anyone for this year impact? Obviously, Dom Smith came off the list.
Rosario and him came off. Well, Flexen was in the rotation last year. He had, what did he have? He barely qualified as a prospect. 48 innings pitched, 3-6 was his record, but a 7.8 ERA. He had a couple relief appearances as well. He had a really good minor league stint. That's what got him the call-up. But before the call-up, he had a 1.7 ERA in the minors with good strikeout to innings pitched. So he was a guy that there was a reason why he got up, but I don't see him much more than probably like long relief at this point. As far as any of these guys actually doing anything this year, I find it hard to believe. Peter Alonso could, but they got Dom Smith. They just signed Adrian Gonzalez. I don't know about that. Tomas Nido is another interesting one. The catcher, if they had some massive injuries. He actually had a couple.
They still have Plawecki, so
always
a possibility,
and,
right?
And Darno, they still got Darno. So I didn't even realize Nido had a couple at bats in the majors this year, and he was out here in the fall league. He has got some swing on him, dude. I don't know if you were able to. I know you caught a couple games, but he has just got when he connects on the ball. He reminded me of Miguel Montero. You know how Miggy just swings? Oh,
that overswing?
Yeah,
right.
That overswing. But when he gets a piece of it, Nido hit a ball that almost left the Giants complex. The Scottsdale Stadium. He just crushed it. He's got some power, but he's also got some really bad average issues. But Nido would be a guy I think could have some value. But I wouldn't say any of the big prospects that you're looking at. No Justin Dunn, no Peterson, none of those guys.
Are there any sleepers or value guys on this team? It doesn't look like there's a lot of options. This is only 16 deep. And is Adrian Hernandez related to Angel Hernandez, since we're talking about all of these guys? And are you a racist for having him way down here on your list?
No, not at all. I don't think he is. Adrian Hernandez is actually one of their top international signings that they had this year, so that's why there's actually even no player profile page that's attached to him right now, because he just
profiling.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's what the MLB is doing to Angel Hernandez. That's why he hasn't gotten a raise, not because he's a terrible, terrible umpire.
Not Adrian Hernandez. All right, so you're asking the values with the Mets. It's all top 6. That's where I'm sitting. If I'm dipping into the New York Mets prospect pool, which is a scary place to be, I'm going into the top, and it's the top guys. So I would tell you this. I'm going to focus on the top 3 here, and that's a weird place to be on value. Andres Gimenez could be a guy that could jump into. I would not be shocked if he's a top 40 prospect by the end of this year. I wouldn't. He has been young at almost every place that he's gone, which has been a big plus. I mean, in 2017, he went from the DSL in 2016 to jumping into full season A-ball, where he was an 18-year-old. Hit 265, 4 homers, 14 stolen bases. He has got a pretty smooth swing. He's got a really good feel for the game. And I think this is a dude that actually might be able to develop into like I'd say the speed's going to come down a little bit. I could see 15-plus homer power. I dare to say 20. You never know how that'll go. But double-digit stolen bases, double-digit power. I think he could be hitting 2. Wouldn't be shocked if he's hitting 3 in a lineup. So, me having him down in the 80, 90 range, I think he's a value. Mark Vientos as well. He's got some really sneaky power. 6'4", 185. He's only 18 years old. Just turned 18 in December. He hit 262 with 4 homers in 191 at-bats last year through the GCL and then the next level up of rookie ball. He's a guy that's going to move over to first or third. I think he's a big power option. Some people might have him in the top 100. It's just a bit aggressive for me yet, but I also would like to be aggressive with Vientos, and I would like to own him. So I wouldn't kill anybody for drafting him inside the top 100. He's a little bit outside of it. And then lastly, David Peterson, the starting pitcher they took in the first round of this year, because I think Vientos went in the second round. He was out of Oregon. He had a 2.45 ERA in 3 starts, 6 strikeouts, only 3 innings, just small inning stuff. But I think he's going to come out the gates swinging, but not swinging, but pitching. So all of those guys, those are inside my top 150. I think where I have them placed, they might deserve to go higher. And I think a lot of people might not actually consider any of those guys inside the top 50, especially if you're not in like a super locked in type of a league. I'm not sure everyone would be into those. So I would say those are the value plays.
What about my guy? Oh man, I don't know how to say his name. Wilmer Becerra? Is it Wilmer or Wilmer? Or?
I think you said it right. Wilmer. We're going to go with Wilmer Becerra.
Wilmer. Okay. I know he's a little bit older, but I know that he was kind of a dude with my guy that I like, Palacios. I think they were the same, like 2012 super young international prospect guys.
Well, he was a Blue Jay too. So, I mean, he's a prospect, but there's like a speculation thing I have that I always try to temper with older players at lower levels, and he was. Let's see, when is his birthday? So, I mean, he was 20.
I mean, he's 23 right now. If he
was 22, but he was in A-ball. I mean, and he was relatively successful. 4 homers, 16 stolen bases, 267. I mean, think about this real quick, Boggs. What he did at 22 years old, Andres Gimenez was doing at 18 years old. It's almost identical numbers as far as average power and stolen bases go.
Right. Yeah. I just, I know he's an older guy, but has a huge frame, and we know that power is the last tool to develop. So 6'3", 245-pound kid, outfielder, obviously, probably a corner. Maybe he can concentrate on that power a little bit. I don't know. I think I probably just read an article about him a long time ago and really liked him. But I'll give it a fair point because, okay, there's another guy that didn't make the top 10 that some Mets fans might be familiar with. That's Desmond Lindsay, who he is 21 years old now. He's going to be 22. Actually, same birthday as you, Boggs. He turned 22 on January 15th. So look at that.
Same birthday. Your best guy here. But he's coming off of, which actually might make him a prime candidate for a bounce back. 2016, solid year. Hit 303. Only 4 homers, 3 stolen bases, but minimal at bats. 2017, we're starting to get some actual time in. Went to full season A-ball, hit 220, 8 homers, 4 stolen bases. He was playing with Andres Gimenez. Bad numbers as he has been progressing. And guys like Lindsay, guys like Becerra, I think they are interesting. I really do. But they just did not crack the top 10 because, so the top 6 were locked in for me.
Right.
Flexen, I think, is interesting and could be a starter if he was moved somewhere. I put him there. Gaccini, I feel like has been on the Mets list for 1,000 years, but he has got some utility, and I think he has some power speed combo. I talk about Nido, and Jordan Humphreys, that could have been a spot where Becerra could have jumped in, Lindsey could have. They've also got an international guy, Ronnie Mauricio, who they signed. He might have gone in there, but I went Jordan Humphreys because Jordan Humphreys, who also had Tommy John surgery, was having a crazy start to 2013. 1.79 ERA through 13 starts, 83 strikeouts over 80 innings pitched. He looked like he was in full breakout mode. So that's how I kind of designed it. But your point is interesting. This is a big old freaking dude. It's just 22 years old in A-ball. I would say this would be a huge year to monitor him. So
basically, if you can buy beer and you're not out of single A, you're going to drop a couple notches, is what you're saying.
Clearly, yeah, clear. All the guys are hitting you up. You're buying beer for the whole team on nights and stuff like that, yeah.
I thought it was funny that Mark Grace was helping manage the Hillsboro Hops right after his DUI.
And they're called the Hops, too. That's great.
Right, that was it.
Yeah, okay, I thought we were talking about the 21-year-old.
You got the joke.
I got the joke. Look at me. I thought it was a different joke, but yeah, you're right about that.
Is there anybody else on the Mets we need to go over? I kind of like Justin Dunn. I have him in a league. Why don't you have him higher? Because I have him.
No, well, I mean, if we want to talk about sleeper deals type of stuff, Justin Dunn, who was, like I said, he was taken in the first round 2016, I'm just torn on him. He had a really good 16 in a short amount of time, 30 innings pitched. He had a 1.5 ERA, good strikeouts. 2017, that's where everything went up, 95 innings pitched. Bad year, though. 5 ERA. Strikeouts went way down. Walks went pretty significantly up. I mean, his whip went from a 1.17 in 16 to a 1.56 in 2017. Having less ground balls. There is lots of room for bounce back. He's not even 20 years old. I would not put it against him. I would not say that. I would not come on here and say Justin Dunn has no opportunity to right this ship. What I would say, though, is Justin Dunn is the prime relief candidate of a fastball slider. Those are his plus pitches. Curve change, we'll see. Control, we'll see. Control is obviously a big issue this year. If he doesn't mature as a starting pitcher, the Mets may look at themselves and say, well, this kid could be a prime closer. This might be their future closer candidate. You know, Familia might not work. They got Ramos right now. He's already 22 years old, Dunn is. I wouldn't be shocked if after this coming season, if you had another 4 ERA, that they try to transition him to a relief role, or he comes up in the majors and he's a relief role. Big fastball, big slider. That's my concern with Justin Dunn. I'm overly concerned more than anything that he has relief risk, and that's why I pushed him outside my top 200.
Not because I took him.
Not because you took him. And I'd also say Thomas Szapucki, he might have been potentially the best pitcher in this entire system. Got kicked with this Tommy John. You don't want to ding him so bad, but I definitely ding some guys, you know, the A's, James Caprillion, Thomas Szapucki, that type of stuff. You got to ding him, but Szapucki might be actually worth bumping up a little bit more and taking a tad bit higher, just because, I mean, he is really, really good. We just don't know how he's going to recover.
All right, the Mets are bad. Okay, can we move on to other teams? Okay.